Last year, during E3 season, I posted a video about the games I speculated would get some news or have videos shown off by Square Enix. While the news did not altogether hit during E3 season, we have had some updates that match some of my expectations throughout the year. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about Square Enix's summer plan for news and other previews. So if you are excited for today's video, then make sure to like this video and subscribe if you are brand new. Ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of my game walkthroughs and videos just like this that I post all week long, and leave a comment with your thoughts on anything that we cover in today's video. With all that aside, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's jump in. Square Enix has already had an incredible start to 2022 with the big releases of both Triangle Strategy, which is another HD 2D RPG masterpiece, and Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which is a nostalgia trip for any longtime Final Fantasy fans. Square Enix also decided to cash in on one of the things that I called in last year's E3 video by formally announcing Kingdom Hearts 4 at the series' 20th anniversary event. Currently, Square Enix has not shared a date and time for when they would host their show, and in years past, they have had a similar showing to the Xbox and Sony showcases for their own dedicated showcase. I am hoping that we find out real soon when and what we can expect from them, as they are now boasting a list of over 10 games that are currently in development, and those are just the games that we know of. So we get into the first game that I want to talk about, which is Forspoken, a game that was originally scheduled to release this month, but was pushed back to October 11th. This game looks intriguing to me because the combat and abilities give me some serious Infamous vibes. The premise is that the main character, Frey, is transported from modern-day New York City to Athia, a world filled with magic and magical creatures. This new IP from Square has us attempting to find our feisty main character's way home. I'm looking to get some extended gameplay footage and maybe a peek at the menu/skill tree whenever Square decides to share some information. Next up, I want to briefly talk about another action RPG, Valkyrie Elysium. This new entry into the long-running series is said to be a brand new standalone adventure that's set in the past. The world appears to be everything you might expect from a Square Enix game, with themes and gameplay that tie back to the series' previous games. So far, we only have a release window of this year, so I hope to get some more news on this one that is slated for PS4, PS5, and PC. Dragon Quest is quite the series, having just celebrated the series' 35th anniversary. This titan shows no signs of slowing down, so much so that they have 3 games currently in development. These 3 games were all announced at their 35th anniversary celebration. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is Dragon Quest's take on the very popular HD 2D that started with Octopath Traveler. Although DQ3 has been announced, the series creator Yuji Horii has expressed an interest in remaking the first 2 the same way. The second game out of the Dragon Quest line is a new spin-off called Dragon Quest Treasures. And the only thing we know about the spin-off is that it's a treasure hunting RPG set during the childhood of Dragon Quest XI's Mia and Eric. And finally, the mainline chapter titled Dragon Quest XII, The Flames of Fate, was also announced back in May 2021, and it being brought to us on the recently released Unreal Engine 5. Having been a year since these 3 were announced, I'm looking for a lot of additional trailers and information, and hopefully release windows for all 3 sometime this June. Next, I would like to talk about a game that I'm very excited about, which is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. That's a lot to say. But back in 2020, after Part 1's release, it was stated that Part 2 had entered full development. Obviously, we know that COVID has played a part in the production of Part 2 like many other games out there, but the producer, Yoshinori Kitase, said that it shouldn't have that big of a long-term effect. You can see my full playthrough of Part 1 right here on the channel. I'll leave a link in the description and see if I can't get one of those cards to work here as well. When Part 2 gets closer to release, I plan on playing the Yuffie DLC in Intergrade. But for now, I'm hoping that we get some release window news, as I have been itching to get back into a game that I had so much fun with originally. And the last game that I'm most excited for is Final Fantasy XVI. This PS5 exclusive is shifting away from that sci-fi aesthetic of Final Fantasy XV, and the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and pushing deeper into the fantasy region. In July of 2021, Square claimed that the story and English voiceover was nearly complete. But just like Final Fantasy VII's Remake Part 2, the pandemic has had a hand in delaying the next mainline entry. Currently, we do not have a release window yet, but I am looking forward to getting some kind of solid date for this, as I am anxiously awaiting a new Final Fantasy entry. Now, while those are the games that I'm most excited for, I feel like I should still mention just a couple of others. Having just been announced in April, I'm not looking to see much more from Kingdom Hearts 4, but I am excited to begin a new saga of the franchise and getting to see more of the Unreal Engine 5. And Star Ocean's next entry of The Divine Force will feature two protagonists with individual yet connected narratives. We could be seeing more out of this entry whenever Square Enix decides to give us, their showcase date. And finally, for me, again, Octopath Traveler 2. I said it last year, and I'll say it again. I'm hoping that this game gets a sequel, as it was popular enough to push Square to make other games utilizing this HD 2D aesthetic. And the game just took me back, way back to old school RPGs, so I really hope that we get a little tease of a new entry. There you have it, guys. A little bit about what I expect and am excited most for from Square Enix this summer. I'm hoping that Square will announce that they have a showcase that's going to happen sometime after the Summer Game Fest showcase, but we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. Let me know in the comments if you are as excited for the games mentioned, or if you're more interested in one of the few others from Square that I didn't cover, because I'd like a good reason for me to check those out too. As usual, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you guys in the next video.